Congress has work to do on health care. Tomorrow, Congress will hold a vote attempting to override my veto of the S-chip bill. It's unlikely that that override vote will succeed, which Congress knew when they sent me the bill. Now it's time to put politics aside and seek common ground to reauthorize this important program.
Well, I wanted to ask you about S-chip and why you even let that get to a situation where it had to be vetoed. Isn't there a responsibility by both the president and congressional leadership to work on this common ground before it gets to a veto?
Right. As I said, we weren't dialed in, and I don't know why, but they just ran the bill, and I made it clear we weren't going to accept it. That happens sometimes.
I don't know if you saw the picture on the front page of one of the papers this morning of Mahmoud Ahmadinejad and Vladimir Putin.
I did.
They look like they were getting along pretty well. And they are among five leaders.
Want to kind of fight each other on the front page of the paper? No, man, come on. I think it's hard to judge how their conversations went from a picture. Generally, leaders don't like to be photographed scowling at each other or making bad gestures at each other. So I'm not surprised that there was a nice picture of them walking along. I try to make sure that when I'm with foreign leaders, there's a pretty picture of the two of us walking down, the colonnades or something like that to send a good message. I think one of the thing I'm interested in is whether or not he continues to harbor the same concerns that I do. And I say continues because when we were in Australia, he reconfirmed to me that he recognizes it's not in the world's interest for Iran to have the capacity to make a nuclear weapon.
Iran, not about the image of President Putin and President Ahmadinejad, but about the words that Vladimir Putin said there. He issued a stern warning against potential U.S. military action against Iran.
Did he say U.S.?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He said, well, at least the quote said that. And he also said, quote, he sees no evidence to suggest Iran wants to build a nuclear bomb. Were you disappointed with that message? And does that indicate possibly that international pressure is not as great as you once thought against Iran abandoning its nuclear program?
As I say, I look forward to, if those are in fact his comments, I look forward to having him clarify those, because when I visited with him, he understands that it's in the world's interest to make sure that Iran does not have the capacity to make a nuclear weapon. I mean, if he wasn't concerned about it, Brett, then why did we have such good progress at the United Nations in round 1 and round 2? And so I will visit with him about it. I have not been briefed yet by Condi or Bob Gates about their visit with Vladimir Putin. We got a leader in Iran who has announced that he wants to destroy Israel. So I've told people that if you're interested in avoiding World War III, it seems like you ought to be interested in preventing them from having the knowledge necessary to make a nuclear weapon. That's how I've tried to conduct my business with Vladimir Putin. We don't agree on a lot of issues. We do agree on some. Iran is one.
Mr. President, as Commander-in-Chief, are you in control of and responsible for military contractors in Iraq? And if not, who is?
Yes, I'm responsible in that the State Department has hired those military contractors.
Are you satisfied with their performance? And what are you doing to satisfy yourself that
I will be anxious to see the analysis of their performance. There's a lot of studying going on, both inside Iraq and out, as to whether or not people violated rules of engagement. I will tell you, though, that a firm like Blackwater provides a valuable service. They protect people's lives. And I appreciate the sacrifice and the service that the Blackwater employees have made. And they too want to make sure that if there's any inconsistencies or behavior that ought to be modified, that we do that.
Torture.
Of what?
The word torture, what's your definition?
That's defined in U.S. law, and we don't torture.
Do you feel as if you're losing leverage and that you're becoming increasingly irrelevant? And what can you do about that?
Quite the contrary. I've never felt more engaged and more capable of helping people recognize, American people recognize, that there's a lot of unfinished business. And I'm really looking forward to the next 15 months.